So, we finally have our Game of the Year nominations, and of course, there's some controversy. While some gamers are overjoyed their gaming fetish made the exclusive list, others were dumbfounded and perplexed as a mobile game and a DLC were nominated for Game of the Year over titles such as Silent Hill 2, Warhammer, and Waifu Blade. Chaos has since ensued, with debates, arguments, and more pleasures of the internet. Critics are defending their choices, anonymous users on 4chan are being brain dead as usual, and voices of reason are being drowned out. Me, on the other hand, well, I'm gonna crack some jokes. What isn't a joking matter, though, is this year's nominees. Remember how everyone was saying this was a down year for gaming? Yeah, they were wrong. This year's been pretty good for gamers, all things considered. Each game or DLC is deserving of the praise. But I'm not here to stroke every nominated game. Rather, I'm here to speak my truth. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is Game of the Year. Now, before you raw dog me down in the comments, at least give me the courtesy of defending my hot take. While being limited to Sony hardware, Rebirth was still one of the most highly anticipated games of recent memory, coming off the success of Remake and the legacy of the OG game. Rebirth had massive expectations, not only from a gameplay standpoint, but also because of the story implications. Fans were eager to see iconic moments and locations recreated and experience these magical moments once again. When the game finally released, not only were these crazy high expectations met with great reviews and obvious award buzz, but in some regards, Rebirth actually managed to exceed expectations, which is insane when compared to the scope of the original game. While sales were diminished because of stuff, they didn't stop Square from making one of the best games of this generation that focused on characters, combat, and amazing music. However, this is just my opinion, and my support of Rebirth no doubt will attract the trolls and neckbeards. Look for them down in the comments. You know how the internet is nowadays. We can accept people with different sexes, religions, races, and cultures, but people with different opinions, yo, fuck those people. Just know that my defense of Rebirth doesn't mean that other games you define your online personality with aren't deserving of the award. All of the nominated games are deserving in their own right, and I don't want to dismiss their achievements in an attempt to bolster Rebirth. All of the nominees are deserving, even Balatro, despite it being the second best card game I've played this year. Queen's Blood. I could easily just take a dump on all the other nominees, pointing out every shortcoming with lethal efficiency. I don't want to do that though. That seems petty, and I don't want to blow out other games' candles to make Rebirth's burn brighter. In truth, I can just let Rebirth's story, characters, and gameplay do that for me. The game's just spotty-addy-dopalicious, and one of the biggest reasons for this is its focus on character. Rebirth's focus on its characters extends to every aspect of its game design. Combat, side quests, main story, minigames, exploration. Everything you do in this game is built around its wonderful characters. Every side mission is an opportunity to learn more about your party and further build relationships as you discover who they really are. Seeing characters given so much love, attention, and detail is refreshing in an industry that is regressing when it comes to tasteful character work and storytelling. While Rebirth is a party-based game, each member feels like a protagonist with the level of depth, care, and gameplay variance that they each possess. Every combat scenario is an opportunity to use captivating synergy skills and abilities that not only offer deeper, rewarding gameplay, but also the sheer spectacle for beloved characters. As you combat threats and beat jaw-dropping bosses, you'll grow with your characters, deepening your bond, but also your combat capabilities. Likewise, every minigame and activity is time spent with a beloved character, like an escape aimed at furthering your relationship. Do I like rail shooters? No, but when Big Betty Barrett is doing it, I'm all down. Rebirth's entire theme is the bonds you build with the characters and how the relationships and yours grow over time. Hi Chadley, hi. Now, this focus on character clearly doesn't always work, but as you play, the game is betting on you loving the characters as much as they do by credits end. Rebirth has a varied party, which means everyone that plays should have a character they gravitate toward for whatever reason. They intentionally sacrifice story pacing at certain times to give you deeper character moments. Like when they give you an anime beach episode, which includes fights, games, and revealing outfits. I mean, I haven't been this aroused since I watched The Diary of Anne Frank. These moments are done for you, the player, and you can tell the devs had a blast making and expanding these character moments by the level of depth, the sheer enjoyment, the energized cutscenes, and the witty, humorous writing. A common phrase you'll hear is, "oh my god," in both a great and negative aspect. You can be drawn in by climactic moments of badassery or possibly hide your head from the cringe. Some of this can be explained by the overt fan service and self-indulgence, from countless minigames to bizarre story segments. These beloved characters are actually elevated from the source material, which I know sounds insane when considering the legacy and fanfare of the original game. I think people fail to realize that FF7's party literally set the bar for party dynamics in a video game, and Rebirth has once again raised that bar. Characters don't just vomit their characterizations like so many other contemporary games. There are subtle and creative ways in which your party interacts with you and each other, creating characters that have charm, yet with deeper mysteries under the surface. So many moments in this game are amplified by just conversations your party is having. At times, you'll find yourself stop exploring, trying to avoid cutting off a conversation your party might be having. You know you have good characters when players want to hear them talk. Unlike others, please, dear God, leave us. This is also amplified by the amazing vocal performances and localization done by the actors. Now I know some of you hardcore chads aren't sold on characterization, mystery, and charm. You alphas probably think this is twink behavior. You want more cushion for the button pushing? Well, look no further than Rebirth's combat system. Rebirth features one of the best combat systems in gaming. This hybrid combat is a jack of all trades that brings dodging, parrying, customization, and tactical strategy into a singular system. The perfect blend of punishing action and tactical combat creates a fun gameplay experience, amplified further by the fact that you get to control 3 characters and utilize their synergy abilities and more. What I love about the system is the sheer amount of customization, as the player can tailor the entire party to their liking, only limited by their creativity and playstyle. Big reason for this is the materia system, a mod-like setup that has been dopalicious since the OG game. A single materia has enough gameplay variation to change multiple characters, giving literal hours of gameplay as you maximize builds and try new combinations. In some respects, it can be daunting, which is why some players have been begging for a loadout system, hoping to spend less time lost within the endless possibilities. On the contrary, so many contemporary games make respeccing your character and changing your loadout hard because they want their game to be more punishing. This is what I call artificially inflated difficulty systems, the video game equivalent of stuffing a sock down your pants. I would have made that into an acronym, but I won't. So many games, though, do this. They punish the player by locking you into bad builds and don't let you change anything because they think you're gonna metagame the boss. Rebirth doesn't have this problem. Rebirth is actually the opposite, dude, especially in hard mode playthroughs when the game will let you know what's coming, will let you have rewarding knowledge, and will let you change builds on the fly so you can meta build your character. Why does Rebirth do this? Well, because Rebirth is built with skill in mind. Yes, people, skill. You see, so many games people praise today for having difficulty are actually shallow on skill development, because in these games, builds and loadouts are more important than actual skill. That cannot be said about Rebirth. Yes, bosses can have weaknesses that you can exploit. This is commonplace. You can equip the best loadout, the best materia, and still be curb stomped. Even when metagaming, you still need to master blocking, parries, dodging, punishing, and more if you want to taste that sweet, sweet victory. Other games lock certain mechanical depth like parries or worthwhile dodging behind builds. Once again, Rebirth doesn't have this. Every character has access to rich gameplay mechanics, yet also massive amounts of customization that you can tailor to your liking. While managing 3 characters does mean you'll be dying less, it also allows for a greater sense of tactical combat as you try and fail to find a boss's patterns, weaknesses, and pressure points. Failing doesn't always result in a game over screen. Instead, it means you'll need to pop a phoenix down and keep pushing forward. You also have crazy ass synergy attacks and abilities, which ties into the bonds you have with each character, putting a greater emphasis on the choices you make and the bonds you forge. Broing down with Barrett and growing that bond, as you grow in level and you also grow in combat abilities. It's a perfect system that is always rewarding you with character progression in and out of combat. Then you have the ATB system itself that creates a sense of reward and momentum as you play, giving players the ability to have tactical decision making while also correcting the drawbacks of other combat systems such as spam healing. Every action requires ATB and it must be earned through activity. There are no participation trophies here, people. Now, so far we've only talked about characters and combat, so I think we should also touch on the other amazing aspects of the game. I mean, we can start with sound, but do I really need to do this one? Like, water's wet. Like, Final Fantasy VII has some of the greatest music ever. Like, come on. Like, it's so prestigious that every time I try to use it in a YouTube video, Square busts down my door and kicks my dog. Like, it's that well protected. Then we have exploration. Now, Rebirth, oh, not again. No, go, Chadley, go, shoo. Okay. Now, Rebirth's exploration can definitely be a mixed bag. I mean, for starters, its maps are impressive, with playable areas large enough to accommodate your mom's fat ass. Are all of them great? No, some can feel like modern interpretations of hell, looking at Yuka and Gaga. But others are picturesque, with interesting backstories that you can discover, points of interest, and stunning viewpoints. While some of the traversal and activities aren't as fulfilling, others are beautifully designed, and chocobos feature stupid levels of depth, and some of us combat junkies will happily sell our souls for a new materia. While you explore, you can also find yourself a minigame to play. Now, one of the more laughable criticisms I've seen is that Final Fantasy VII Rebirth features too much content. To me, this is a criticism lobbied by trophy hunters who found the platinum was too time-consuming for their liking. While the devs agreed in some sense, what people fail to realize is that the excess content is aimed at people who actually enjoy the game, not the people slaving away for a meaningless achievement so that they can brag about it. To me, it's like someone complaining that a DVD has too many bonus features. Like, it's optional, my dude. You don't like the side content? Stop playing. Yes, the game steers you into side activities, but literally every game does this. Like, how else are you supposed to show off the varied systems? The part that most seem to miss about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is that you choose the depth. You don't actually have to master Queen's Blood or become a minigame master tryhard. Just like me in high school, you can do the bare minimum, slide on by, and then be forced to sell your body on YouTube. Is there an argument that the game and areas outstay their welcome? Sure. I think open world fatigue will hit some people really hard. But to be fair, that's with anything of this scope. Hell, look at any acclaimed movie with a long runtime, from Spielberg to Scorsese, and you'll find someone complaining about its length. So when you have a game with this much content, this much depth, this many maps, complaints about it being too big are expected. And I know a thing or two about being too big. The game features multiple battle arenas, hidden bosses, chicken-themed Mario Kart, and a card game that has more depth than some games' main campaigns. But, god damn it, not again. No. Can you give me 1 second, please? Come here, Chadley, come here. Ah, that's better. Where was I? Okay, listen, I say all of this to say Rebirth is not a perfect game. While I can sing its praises and gift it flowers, Rebirth is flawed. That doesn't pain me to say, and I am more than comfortable to challenge my own beliefs and play devil's advocate. I don't think you need to stay within an echo chamber or small pond and shield yourself from hearing criticisms of things you enjoy. There are plenty of those on this very platform who have valid complaints and negative things to say about Rebirth. Do I agree with all of them? No, far from it. But I am also perfectly okay admitting Rebirth has some pesky warts, just like every other game to exist. Personally, not having Sid and Vincent be playable was annoying. The box-throwing purgatory was also just a bad idea, like having an emotionless robot speak more lines than actual interesting characters and main party members. This is part of that self-indulgence we spoke about earlier. You see, the devs thought we'd love the world they created. They thought right. They also assumed that we would want to hear about the amazing world building. They again thought right. Then they thought it should all be said by an annoying-ass character. Yeah, they thought wrong. The truth is, if you were going to have a character that talked throughout your journey, common sense would tell you to have this character be interesting and charismatic, and Chadley is neither. It's like he was literally designed to be the opposite, and then cast in the one role he should have never had. Yes, they try to give him some depth, but that is literally after 2 games and 150 hours of gameplay, and only then it's a tease for part 3. Boy oh boy. Truth is though, while the valleys are low, the mountains are so damn high. As soon as your gaze starts to focus on its weaknesses, the characters divert your attention with their personality. However, despite Chadley and more being terrible, the biggest thing that holds Rebirth back is irony. You see, so many aspects of Rebirth are designed with the OG game and fan service in mind. It tries to please older fans, rectify past mistakes, while also modernizing the story for newer players. It tries to walk the fence of sequel and remake, and for the most part it succeeds. However, it's in this endeavor that the ironic tragedy happens. Rebirth, in an attempt to make something new for its older fans, actually alienated them instead. The irony is that all of these new wrinkles and story moments were added in an attempt to recreate the feelings and mysteries of the OG game for older fans. That things were changed, characters were brought back, moments altered, all to please these older fans. And it's these very things that the original fans hate. They hate that it's not a true remake. This ironic tragedy is the reason for the bulk of negativity that surrounds Rebirth and this new trilogy. Go look at all those videos criticizing Rebirth. Beneath their valid criticisms will be a legion of OG purists who hate the new vision. It's like they want to bring back the hard R word. They will literally flood the comments of social media, mad at Square, the team, and anyone else who's ruined their favorite game. Again, Square did this to please these people in the most meta way possible. Hell, the Whispers are a literal meta embodiment of purists who want things to stay the same, and our characters literally beat them with weapons. Square wanted the older fans to find new joy with familiar characters and tell a new story within the world. It's not a true remake, it's a sequel. Square thought this would unite the fandom with new mysteries, character moments, and more, but they were wrong. In a sad twist of fate, this has tainted the new trilogy project. Add in toxic shippers and Square Enix resentment, and you get a community that is always one post away from a meltdown. Despite Rebirth's greatness, I don't think it helped ease the issues, as it doubled down on crazy story meanings and character changes. The only thing that can fix it all is actually Part 3. So many aspects of the story and character moments are being pushed to Part 3, which in turn can make this game feel underwhelming to some fans. Rebirth was not intended to give us answers, but rather more questions, which is the last thing some fans wanted. Add in the fact that some party members won't even be playable till Part 3, and you realize that while a massive leap forward for the story of FF7, Part 3 is aiming to be even bigger. While Rebirth itself is amazing and features some of the best combat characters and music of all time, other aspects of its game design are sacrificed and neglected because of this trilogy project. Hopefully though, Part 3 will be even better and finally win over the fans who are upset the games aren't just one-to-one remakes. Is this wishful thinking? Most likely. Expecting internet trolls to change their mind is like expecting them to make Chadley an interesting character. Like, I ain't hold my breath, bro. But if Rebirth is any indication, I have high hopes and expectations for Part 3. Part 3 is promising more party members, recreations of legendary moments, and more importantly, answers to questions that have drove some of us mad with possibilities. But until then, we'll just have to settle for a hard mode playthrough, the PC version to release, and some more Queen's Blood. So, does Rebirth have your vote, or did another game touch you? Let me know down in the comments. Have a good one.